Hey guys, I'm here with Parth, the general manager of TSM League of Legends. What do you call yourself now?
I just run the League of Legends side for TSM.
What does it mean to run the League of Legends side for TSM?
So it means everything from deciding like what kind of roster we want to put together, what kind of coaching staff do we need, how to balance things when we kind of have issues with like visas, contracts, and just like the long-term direction of what we want to do as an org.
So actually like a sports GM, not like a esports GM.
I mean, yeah, I guess it's interchangeable. I'm sure the responsibilities are very similar.
Because when I think of esports GM, I think of cleaning up after players, calling Ubers.
Oh, no. I mean, I have to do that too. But I mean, my job is usually more involved. So I usually spend probably half the time at the office working with Andy, Lena on more like the strategic side and maybe even Blitz. And then the other half I kind of spend with both the academy and the LCS team and making sure that it's running properly.
So speaking of LCS team and running properly, you guys are now 4-0 with Grig and 3-0, actually 0-3 with Acadian. I know results aren't everything, but that has to count for something, right? You guys won every single game so far with Grig and lost every game so far with Acadian.
Sure. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously when you look at it that way, it does seem like very one-sided, but I think Tony and our coaching staff and all of the players have more input in terms of what they think work for them while in game and even in practice, like how fast certain players help them pick up new champions and help them develop. So I think there's definitely more that goes into it than just like results. And I'm sure that whatever we end up deciding with John and Matt will be sort of best for the org, because I think this is the first time that we've like talked seriously about in the off season. We talked about how we wanted to use John and Matt because we do think that both players have their own unique strengths and weaknesses. And I encouraged Tony because he's also back in CLG. He wasn't someone who wanted to switch players. So I sort of encouraged him to say that take this split to go into it with a certain set of assumptions. Like we don't know if it's better to just pick one person and stick with it. We don't know if it's better to split time the entire way through. So we're just going through and figuring out what it means for TSM to work with two players in a role like this. And then hopefully we'll be better off for it.
So it's a bad assumption to say at the end of the split, you guys will have a one jungler.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's equally likely that we will end up running both, and that we might end up picking one. It just depends on what's like best for the team.
So another very, I would say, controversial roster decision that happened was about a year and a half ago. You guys let go of Doublelift, and Doublelift has been able to three-peat with Team Liquid, and basically you guys created your own rivals. Is that something TSM looks back on and been like, holy shit, we made a mistake here? Or how do you guys view that?
Sure. So hindsight is always like a weird thing, obviously. Even going into that, I think one of the first interviews I did with Travis, I said that making this change is a risk for us, because I know if we kept Peter and Biofrost and Dennis, that we would probably continue winning North America. We wanted to change things up because obviously we felt that the changes we made were made for a more balanced team to do well internationally. It didn't pan out that way, and obviously Peter's gone on to do really well on TL, and even Dennis has gone to do really well on C9. We do think that it's partly because that after leaving like TSM, they had more opportunity, like they grew a lot more, and I'm not sure if like they would have if their trajectory would have been the same on TSM. And so credit to them for obviously launching, like continuing their success. And we are pretty happy with where we are to currently.
So TSM actually has a killer academy team with a lot of great young players. Is there anyone we should be looking at particular? Not because they will replace a TSM player, but because they'll start an LCS, maybe replacing a TSM player or somewhere else. Like, who's your best academy player and who's been like the most promising?
So that's not really how we look at academy. So I know going at the end of last year, one of the key goals that we had was to revamp our academy system. We actually credit a lot to Cloud9 for the model that they created. Where they were able to interchange players, and it was like a really good training partner for them. And we see that as like the future of the esport, where there are 5 or 6 players sitting like right below our main squad, ready to like work really hard and be really dedicated and help both our LCS team, but also find like their own futures in the sport. So that was our vision going into this year. I think we picked up Tactical. He was one of the standout performers in Scouting Grounds. Treats is someone that we specifically, so I was looking into Treats actually at the end of 2017, saw him play in EU Masters, and he came out to our TSM Scouting Grounds. I think we were really, really interested in him because he's a more mature player, and so it made a lot of sense for us to pair him up with Tactical, because Tactical learned a lot from him. So I definitely think those two are like the standouts from our academy team. But I do think that everyone on our team plays a role and could play in LCS right now.
So there's a realm of possibility during summer 2019 that we see an academy player play for TSM?
Oh, no. I mean, like in the future, they can play in LCS, and even now there are spots on other LCS team where I do think that they could still flourish.
So TSM, TL, and C9 still continue to dominate after the franchising era happened, and people said it would kind of level a bit. Why do you think that is?
I do think that it has leveled a bit. Obviously, in the first year, the teams that were like the old guard had a lot of power in terms of like recruiting players, or since they were already there, and the other teams that came in had to start from scratch. So I do think that the difference last year was a lot greater, but this year, especially coming into summer, you do see a lot more parity in the league. A lot of the other teams are figuring out how they want to run their organizations in context of LCS, and so you see them hiring smarter GMs, better infrastructure, and I do think that credit to teams like Golden Guardians and FlyQuest who've kind of upped their game overall.
We keep talking about this GM role, and it's a really hard role to pinpoint because I think the only real GMs that I really know of in the league are you and Danon. What's a day-to-day for a GM looks like? I know during off-season it can be incredibly busy, but during the regular season where you have your roster set, the coaching staff is running the day-to-day, like what is a GM doing?
For sure. So obviously you want to make sure that a lot of coaches, right? They're very good at, I'm not going to say about for my team specifically, I'm just going to say in general. A lot of the players and coaching staff in the league is very young, right? They have a lot of game knowledge, but they may not know how to set up like the best systems. So for example, we brought on David Denis as our sports psych from Cloud9, and it was an interesting challenge integrating him into the squad. And then another thing that we also did, it was Logitech. They were helping support us with performance programs. And so I'm working with them, helping create boot camps and like other ways that we can help enhance the players' like performance or their approach to the game outside. Outside of that, it's a lot of we're moving into our new facility, so it's planning for that, making sure that they'll have like their housing and all of that set up for next year. Let me think. And for me personally, I'm also equally as involved on like the Blitz side and other parts of the company. So I think GM is like a very multivariate role, and it varies organization by organization in terms of like how much experience you have and what you can do.
Thank you, Parth, so much for the interview. Do you have any final words for anyone that might be watching?
I know obviously summer, it's been a rough start, but I think that we are still juggling around with our junglers and trying to make sure that we meet our goals in the standards that we hold ourselves going into this playoffs and potentially even Worlds. So thank you guys for supporting us, and we're looking forward to showing you guys some results soon.
#BayLife.
#BayLife.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this interview. It was brought to you by Lowkey Community. It couldn't have been done without them. Also, you should definitely subscribe to me. It really helps a lot, and I need more subs. Finally, if you enjoyed the interviews, there should be more of my videos somewhere on the screen. Make sure you click on it. Bye.